Hi guys, have you ever wondered if you might be dealing with something that is a bit more than just stress? And maybe wondered, could it be anxiety? Could I have an anxiety attack? But no, I'm an athlete, I'm mentally tough. Why would I be suffering from anxiety? Then you have come to the right place, because I'm an athlete and I've been a professional athlete and an elite level athlete for over 21 years. And sometimes people have this misconception that athletes don't suffer from anxiety. Athletes don't stress. But today I'm going to be talking about the difference between stress and anxiety, and I'm also going to be talking about how athletes can be affected by anxiety. So stay tuned. So I've always seen myself as a mentally tough athlete. I have a lot of resilience. I've been through a lot in my life. I've been doing sports since the tender age of about 4 years old. I've competed at an elite level in karate, CrossFit, and Olympic weightlifting, and I have been through a lot, not just in sport, but outside of sport too. And sometimes these things that happen outside of sport can bleed into our sports, and when that happens, that could cause anxiety. And when anxiety happens and you start to feel like it's starting to affect your performance, then it's time to really go back to the drawing board and figure out what is the trigger, firstly, of your anxiety. What is causing your anxiety? Is it stress or is it anxiety? But also, on the other hand, when you get too much stress, stress will then lead into anxiety. And if it starts to take over your life, it starts to make you feel like you are getting so anxious that you can't perform on stage or on the field or on the mat, depending on what sport you are doing, then we really need to look at ways that we can combat the anxiety or make the anxiety feel a little less or make you feel a bit better quickly. And then also talking about if it gets to a point where it gets too much, then we need to see a professional. And that is something that's really important, because I think a lot of people think if you need to see a professional, may it be a sports psychologist or a psychiatrist or a psychologist or whoever it might be, that you are mentally weak. And that is absolutely not the case. And that's why I'm also so happy to see lately that mental health has really become a popular topic amongst athletes and among the sporting world. And you can really see that athletes, top level athletes, are starting to speak out about their battles with anxiety. And this makes it a little easier for the little people to come out and talk about the fact that they might be suffering from anxiety too. And maybe the same symptoms that these elite level athletes are feeling, these are very much the same feelings that you are feeling. And it doesn't matter what level of athlete you are, beginner, intermediate, advanced, youth, masters athlete, everyone and anyone could potentially suffer from anxiety. But it's about figuring out immediately, or realizing, or being aware, that's a better word of it. So being aware of when anxiety hits, and then needing to know that something needs to be done. So I did a poll on my YouTube channel the other day, just asking them what topics they would like me to talk about, seeing that I always like talking about either, potentially between mindset and weightlifting, and even some life stuff too. And a lot of people voted for anxiety. And I think the fact is because not a lot of people talk about anxiety, and especially not anxiety in sport. So that's why I want to cover that topic today. Now, some of the things that you might do that could potentially just help you if you start to feel stressed or overwhelmed is go to your side, like take a bit of a break from anyone and everyone, go for a walk, do some mindfulness training, literally go and meditate if you want for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever you need. Go to a quiet space, go to a happy space that's not busy and with a lot of people, because you'll find sometimes that people who suffer from anxiety, as soon as a place gets too busy, you start to get more anxious and more anxious. And that's ultimately when you feel like you just want to blow up. And we don't want you to get to that point. And I can attest to that, because I've been in that position where I didn't know what was going on, because I've never had a feeling of, when I'm in a social setting, that I'm overly anxious or I just kind of need a break. But over recent years, with moving a lot and a lot of stress that's been in my life, I have been starting to feel that sometimes when I am in a social setting where there's just too many people, that I just need a break from everyone. And that's what I do. So if I feel like I'm way too anxious, I will tell whoever's with me that today I just don't want to be with a whole bunch of people, or I just don't want to be in a social setting that's too big, or I might just go for a little while, show face, and then go, just because I am feeling a little bit more anxious. And it's okay to speak out. It's absolutely 100% okay to tell the people you are with that I'm just not going to be here for too long because I am suffering from a bit of anxiety and I just need a bit of my space. That is 100% okay. And I would expect the people who are with you also to understand that, because anxiety, again, not a lot of people understand it, especially if they don't suffer from anxiety. They just think, oh no, once you may be in the social setting, you'll start to feel better. Or maybe when you are around a lot of people, you'll start to feel like happy again. But that's absolutely not the case. So it's very good then to communicate with people and just tell them what is going on. Tell them that you have been battling with anxiety. Tell them that you just need a bit of a space and you need a bit of a breather. By telling people that way, they can also start to learn more about what anxiety is and how it affects people, and it also affects everyone differently. But by just telling them, we'll just make things a lot easier when people ask you, oh, maybe why are you not wanting to be in a social setting? Why don't you want to go out with a group of friends today? By just letting them know, okay? That just makes them understand too. Because also, if you don't communicate these things with people, they're not going to know, first and foremost, that you're suffering from anxiety. And secondly, by telling them, they can also be there for you and help you go through the process. Something very powerful that I do when I can feel anxiety starts to boil up in me, if you can call it that way, is first and foremost, I can normally feel that my breathing starts to get really shallow and I start to feel my heart rate starts to go up. I get very anxious, I start to not breathe properly, and I just start to panic. And when I start feeling that, yes, I've been in a situation where that's when the panic attack happened and I couldn't deal with it in time. But also now I've got some valuable tools that I try and practice as much as I can in order to make sure that when this feeling starts to come, that I can combat it immediately. So I really focus on things like my breathing. I'll listen to things like the Synctuition app or the Calm app, and I'll put it down in the comments below. And other things are music. So if I listen to happier, calmer music, I tend to feel a lot better too. If I go for a walk, so they often call this a mindfulness walk, I also feel better. But those are all just things that you can do almost immediately to try and combat the anxiety. But what do you do when it gets to a point when you get that panic attack? Now, firstly, it's easy to say, just calm yourself down, take deep breaths. Yes, you can try that. But the main thing is to know that when it gets to a point where it just starts to affect everything around you, I would 100% go and speak to a professional. Like I said, it might be a mental performance coach or a counselor or a psychologist or psychiatrist or whoever it might be. But speak to a professional, because they will be able to advise. Before it gets to that point, it's always just so important to try your best to make sure that you are aware of these things, you are aware of these feelings, and so that you are also aware that it's okay to not always be okay. It's okay to get a feeling where you just need a bit of space. A great thing to also do is journaling. So when I also used to feel a lot of anxiety come up, or I've had a lot going on in my life, I would take a pen and paper. If I couldn't go and speak to my sports psychologist, I would grab a pen and paper and I would just jot down all of my feelings. And that's the kind of advice that I give to my clients now, is as soon as you feel that you're starting to feel so anxious and you might not be able to get hold of me, take that pen and paper, write your feelings down. More often than not, the person actually feels so much better when they've written down their feelings, and just even gratitude journaling, writing down the things that they are grateful for, just taking their mind off the fact that they are currently dealing with that anxiety and those symptoms are just starting to basically go out of control. It's just a great way to get that mind focused on something else. And that's why meditation and mindfulness is so powerful too, because you don't think of what's going on around you. You kind of just let the thoughts come and go, and you focus on things like your breathing. You focus on things like the sounds outside, like the birds and the little animals and, you know, the bugs and whatnot. So there's many things, like I said, that you can try and do to help combat anxiety. But anxiety is something that is real. Anxiety is something that a lot of athletes are suffering with, and a lot of athletes are speaking out about it. So it's okay to go and seek help. It's okay to speak out about it. In fact, seeking help and speaking out about it is probably the best thing that you can do, not just for yourself, but even for others around you, so that they know that they can be there to help you through this journey. Guys, I just want to say also, you are doing an amazing job with dealing with this. It's, like I said, it's probably one of the hardest things that you can deal with. And just acknowledging that it doesn't matter what level athlete you are, anxiety can happen to us at any time. And just know that you are not alone out there. And also, if you ever want to reach out to me, you can also email me at mona@helpingpsychology.com, or even go to my website called helpingpsychology.com, or you can reach out to me on social media. I'd love to help where I can, or just advise you in the right direction. And just to let you know that there are people out there that you can reach out to. And I am so proud of you for coming this far. Guys, and if you are someone that has been battling with anxiety, or you know of someone maybe close to you who has been battling with anxiety, I would love to know in the comments below just little things that you've done for either yourself or for someone else to help just make them feel better. Or if you've been dealing with this, what are little things that you've done that has just helped you with your anxiety and helped you with your journey? You might be surprised, your comment might actually help another person out there. So thank you all for watching and listening. I really appreciate all the support. If you like this video, guys, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, ring that notification bell, and I cannot wait to see you guys in the next one.